Shit crank.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Melanin 360 podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Jeray. And I am here today with my guest for part 2 of Bye Bye Baby, my realtor, Tyrone Toney.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Keller Williams Preferred Properties,
Keller
correct?
Williams Preferred Properties, yes.
Yes. So Tyrone is going to be here with us today to kind of pick up where our other realtor, Ayanna Roberts, left off last week, talking about the other half of the home buying process. But in true Melanin 360 fashion, Tyrone.
Oh, man.
You like 90s hip hop and R&B, right?
I do. Let's see.
All right. So if you had to pick a song for the week, just something that's on your spirit, that's making you feel good this week, what is it and why?
The song, 90s hip hop was, first of all, let's start with that. It was just the best.
The best era, period.
Era of hip hop and R&B. So, you got your Jay-Z's and you got your Tupacs and stuff like that. But it kind of depends on, let me think. What's sticking out to me right now, because I'm heavy in my business right now, it's going to probably be Wu-Tang, Cream. Cash rules everything around me.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, y'all.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's resonating you too, right?
Yes. For 2 reasons.
What's up?
First of all, funny story.
What's up?
Wu-Tang Clan came to Waxy Maxie's in Iverson Mall.
Wait a minute,
when I was 16.
Waxy Maxie's?
Yes.
So
was it Kent Mill? Whichever one was at Iverson Mall.
I think
might have been Kent Mill.
It was Kent Mill.
It was Kent Mill.
Kent Mill. Yeah, it was Kent Mill.
I had just got my license.
That's what's up.
And I drove to see Wu-Tang, and I stood in line outside in the heat in July to see Wu-Tang, and I saw Ghostface Killer.
And it was worth it, right?
It was worth
That's what I'm talking
every drop of sweat.
Every drop of sweat?
Every drop of sweat.
Every
other 16-year-old girl that I was fighting to get up in there.
That's funny.
It's worth it.
See?
Yes, I would never forget it. Never
Did
forget
you get an autograph?
I did not get an autograph.
You did all that, you ain't get an autograph?
Nah, man. Because a girl jumped on top of the roof of the limousine and tried to get into the sunroof, and then they shut it down.
Okay, so yeah.
So, I didn't get it.
You know what I'm saying? She messed you up.
Yeah, she really did.
But
it
was worth it, though, right?
It was worth it. But,
There
chick, if you listening, you ruined that for me. But whatever. Anyway.
You know what I'm saying? not you feeling type of
I'm over it now. All
right, cool.
But it's funny that you picked that song, because I was teetering between 2 songs this week. So the first one, obviously, I was going to do "Call Tyrone" by Erykah Badu.
Oh, so like it's about like 20 or some odd years later. I still catch that.
I'm sure you do.
Oh man,
I'm sure you do.
I still catch that. You know what I'm saying?
Because I told Ayanna I was going to do it. I was like, because I actually called Tyrone.
You did
for the podcast.
You
actually did.
You did.
But then I decided, I was like, no, that's way too obvious, because I'm sure you get that all the time.
All the time. till it's date.
So I was, I caught that. That was funny.
You peeped that? Right, cool.
I was going to do "For the Love of Money" by Bone Thugs. So you picked Cream. I did "For the Love of Money."
See, we was here. We was ready. There you go.
That was my song right there. With the Easy E verse was life in that song. Loved it.
I can't disagree with you.
Yes.
Can't disagree with you.
Yes.
All right, so we already off to a good start.
Exactly. So now y'all know me and Tyrone all about the money.
All about
That's what we do.
All about that coin. You know what I'm saying?
And coins are what you're going to need to get this house.
To get
this property. Yeah. So, like I was telling you all before, we purchased our first home earlier this year, and Tyrone was our realtor.
I was.
Great experience with him.
It.
There were some ups and downs. And
There's always going to be a few bumps in the road.
Listen, ups, downs, peaks, valleys, all that good stuff.
All that.
But I really want to do this 2-part series because at the end of the day, when you get those keys, it all becomes worth it.
I was trying to tell you.
But it's a lot to get there, and I don't want people to get discouraged, because we almost got discouraged. You was there with us.
I know, and listen, it's been plenty of nights that I gave y'all a call. I'm like, hey, please, don't give up, because I
was ready to throw the towel in.
And throw a couple other things too. But that's all I'm trying to tell you. It's definitely worth, you may go through a couple bumps, you know what I'm saying, little forks in the road, but once you get to your destination, it's always worth it. So, just stick in it.
For sure.
Y'all
For
did.
sure.
You guys did. And that smile that I was able
Yay.
to show, you know what I'm saying, see on y'all faces when we came up here that night, you know what I'm saying, when we got the keys to the house.
Yes.
That was it. That was it. It made it all worth it.
So that was why I knew that Tyrone was going to bring y'all the real, because here on the Melanin 360 podcast, I'm only going to bring y'all the real.
That's what you do? Just the real?
Yes.
Okay. I got you.
So before we get into that,
Okay.
what made you get into real estate in the first place?
Let's see. So let me jump back. Let me go back. So remember, so like I said, my name is Tyrone Toney. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams. I'm on a team called the Tailor Made Team with Keller Williams Preferred Properties. And to be quite honest and transparent with you, the reason that I got into real estate was because, one, I was also I'm friends with the team leaders that are on my team, Donna and Lyselle Taylor. So I was already kind of familiar with the team and them and their success in real estate, but I didn't foresee the real estate aspect for myself. And to answer your question, how did I end up in real estate? To be quite honest, we were actually going through a government shutdown a couple of years ago.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so, I'm a federal government employee, and we went through the government shutdown. So the first check, I'm like, all right, cool, we'll be all right. The second check, not getting paid, and I was like, all right, this ain't feeling too good, right? So then the third check, I was like, all right,
nah, bruh.
this starting to get real, and it was more or less like, all right, I'm a family man, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm the man of my house. So I just didn't like the feeling of just not getting paid, you know what I'm saying, and having someone else have that much control of my money. Thank God for savings and everything else and support with my wife. But I just didn't like the feeling of the not getting paid or being on someone else's time. So I was literally thinking about what could I do, on the outside, to just bring another stream of income for myself. And I bring up my team leaders because it was one moment I was having a conversation with my wife, and I opened up Facebook, and I saw one of my team leaders, Lyselle Taylor. She was posting about an open house and joining her team. Hey, if you're thinking about joining real estate, we're going to have, call my team, give us a call. And
it was
so on
like,
and so forth. And it was just more or less like, it was literally the first thing that I opened up on Facebook after I was having that conversation with my wife, like, what am I going to do? What am I thinking about? Maybe I should, hit them up to see what, about real estate. And that was literally the first thing that I saw. So I looked at it as, I'm big on, God's plan. I'm big on signs and, things are just for you. So I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I just need to look into this. And this was actually in January. What is this? 2019.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so this was still very new. January 2019, when this all happened in the beginning, right after New Year's. And I was in real estate school at the end of January.
Okay.
And I
you
was
moved
like,
quick.
I don't play.
That's what's up.
I don't play. Just get into it. And once I started real estate school, actually with Keller Williams, one, I already knew that was a brokerage for me. I already knew that off the break. I just had to get licensed. And then two, I actually realized that I was actually like it. And I think I might be good at this. So why not? So why not give it a chance? So I got into real estate by chance, not necessarily by choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's up. That's an interesting story, though.
It's crazy, right?
But I think that sometimes getting into it like that makes you the better for it.
Listen.
Because you have a story to tell.
Absolutely.
So when people come to you with their backgrounds and, whatever they have, you can kind of pull from that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that adds to the success.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Can't disagree.
So last week, we talked to Ayana and we were talking about
shout out to Ayana.
The difference.
That's what I'm talking about. Ayana Roberts, shout out to you.
We're trying to keep it all in the family here.
Absolutely.
We were talking about some things that the average person who maybe is looking to buy a home or is very early in the process may not know.
Okay. Cool.
And we talked about the differences between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval.
Okay.
And if you could just reiterate the differences between those two for those that may be confused or don't know.
Sure, no problem. So The difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval is no different than having a conversation with somebody and then putting that plan into action. So the pre-qualification is just like trying to put a plan in place. Mm-hmm. So you're actually reaching out to a lender. You're giving them a bit of your background, what you're actually looking for, what you're thinking about purchasing, and then they'll just kind of do like a preliminary type of, pre-qualification just to see if you would, at least meet the minimum requirements to get approved for a loan.
Okay.
So like currently right now with COVID, the minimum, credit scores generally run between 640 and 680. Mm-hmm. So that's just one of the pre-qualification type of rules that a lot of lenders are requiring right now. So, you can definitely get pre-qualified for a loan, but the pre-approval is actually where the money is. Okay. Because to get pre-approved for a loan is saying, hey, I'm a serious buyer. I'm ready. I've submitted, paperwork and documentation to figure out exactly how much money that I would get approved for to get a loan. And now I'm ready to hit the ground running. Because without a pre-qualification, you guys are without a pre-approval, you're just kind of browsing.
Okay.
Pre-approval gives you the leverage to demand and, to be able to move forward. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, I've also heard that it is important that you have a pre-approval before you go shopping or before you actually sign on with a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's definitely correct. It's not, and just to further your point, you don't have to necessarily be pre-approved before you meet with a realtor. Sometimes that's actually one of the realtor's job is to assist you in getting pre-approved.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. But to work with a realtor, especially in this area, is definitely best to be pre-approved because that means you're serious. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing about realtors, I respect your time and my time is just as valuable. Mm-hmm. So I personally don't take my clients out until we're pre-approved.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. I don't know about you, but like I don't like going to car dealerships until I'm ready to buy. I don't joyride. I don't test drive cars because I'm gonna get that itch. I'm gonna get the itch and I'm gonna want to buy. And if I'm not ready to buy right now, then it's a tease for me and I'm wasting my time. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same thing with a pre-approval letter. Once you're pre-approved, all right, now we're ready to buy. Now we're serious buyers.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so when looking for a real estate agent, right, obviously they should go to Keller Williams.
Of course.
But
I mean, that's
obviously,
the
right?
obvious choice. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
But I mean, is there anything that we should be looking for in a real estate agent? Like, I know for a lot of us, like we chose you because we know you,
of course,
fam.
Of course,
absolutely. But for someone that doesn't have a friend or family member that's a real estate agent, do they just call up there and eeny, meeny, miny, moe it? Should they, like, how does that work?
So a piece of advice I would give anybody who is looking for a real estate agent, you kind of treat them, you kind of do the interview process a little bit. You have to find somebody that you can vibe off of. Mm-hmm. You have to get a feeling that they're going to have your best interest at heart.
Okay.
And you have to be able to find somebody that's communicative. You have to find someone who is able to communicate to your needs. Mm-hmm. And to find somebody that you be like, okay, I can see myself in business with this person. And they're going to, I can tell that they're going to have my best interest at heart. They're going to work for me. Because everybody, there are a lot of real estate agents out there. And, not all real estate agents are absolutely created equal. Mm-hmm. So you have to actually find the one that is a perfect match for you. Because, what may have worked for your girlfriend, it may not necessarily work for you. So it's all about a vibe. It's, and then experience is definitely a great thing. If you're able to, see some of the sales that they've had and be able to, do a little bit of background investigation, definitely do so. You got to understand that, this real estate agent is helping you purchase one of the biggest purchases of your life, right? Mm-hmm.
Probably the biggest
purchase, right? So you don't want to just go with any, Joe Smo. You don't necessarily want to go with your cousin because they just got, no disrespect to fam, right? No disrespect to fam because, sometimes family and business don't always, mesh.
Right. And that's real.
That's very true, what I'm saying? But you just have to know, you just have to get a feel of, who would work best for you on your behalf, because that's very important. They're negotiating for you, they're fighting for you, they're closing deals for you. So who would be the best fit for you?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So person A has their pre-approval letter.
Right.
They say, hey, I talked to Jeray and she said you sold her the house and you were great, so I want to go through you.
Perfect.
Cool. What happens now?
Okay, so what happens after that? What I typically like to do with my new buyers is just kind of get a feel for, their buying experience and processes. So if you are a new buyer, what I like to do is hold what we call a new buyer's consultation.
Okay.
And this is just a time, this is just a very informal type of meeting, between you and I, just to, kind of get a feeling of where you are knowledge-wise within the buying process. And then I'm able to answer any questions that you may have. And I also give a buyer the perspective of purchasing a house through conversation from beginning to end, like step one all the way from, getting pre-approved all the way to congratulations, here are your keys, you're now a new home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I try to hold buyers consultations, even with people who have already purchased houses, because it just kind of helps break the ice.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me an opportunity to tell you what it would be like to work with me as your realtor, and it also gives you an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have at the top of your head during that time. And it's very informal. It's just one of the one-on-one session to kind of help us get to know each other as clients.
And so that's kind of when we go over, like, what we would be looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, what we're open to, or what are our absolute, like, we absolutely don't want this, or.
Yeah, well, it kind of depends on how far we get into that conversation. So here's the thing. I may find a buyer who is ready to buy or who wants to buy. And through conversation, I might find out that, remember the pre-qualification question, that their credit may not necessarily be up to par just yet, which is definitely no problem at all, because people got to understand, you may want to buy right now, but now may not be your time.
Okay.
And it's totally okay. You know what I'm saying? Because that will give me an opportunity to, one, establish a working relationship with you, as well as to also put you in contact with a lender to get pre-approved, put you in contact with someone who may be able to assist you with credit repair.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that conversation is definitely put in place at that point. And then also, if you already ready to go, you already know, hey, you're the realtor for me, then this is the point where I say, all right, cool. So what actually are you looking for? Where, the location, the style of home, your wants, your needs, and the things that are important for you to be able to move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we know exactly what an agent does,
All right. Yeah.
Sounds like y'all do a lot.
We do. Oh man, let me tell you something. A realtor's job is never ever over. We just try to have set hours, but life always happens. Life as a realtor always gets in the way, and you kind of gotta always stay on your A game, because, as you know, from our experiences.
There's phone calls, text messages, 8, 9 o'clock at night.
And that's just kind of how it is. Because you know what? In a real estate transaction, you're lucky and you're highly favored if you get a transaction that is smooth sailing. Because things happen. Things happen.
Yes, they do.
There's so many moving parts, and a lot of people with their hands in the pot, real estate transactions can be very interesting. Yeah. And you know that. You already know.
I tell people all the time, the fun part is when you get to ride around and look at houses, or go to open houses, or, whatever.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's the fun part, but it can actually not be so fun. Like I was telling Ayana on the episode last week how, whatever your pre-approval is,
right.
Sometimes you get a little bit of sticker shock when you actually see what that look like. So, if they say, oh, you approved for 450, and you go and see what 450 look like in DC, and you like, that's it.
Oh, see,
this it.
So let me tell you about DC. 450 in DC is a little. Oh yeah, shout out to DC. I'm licensed in Maryland, DC as well. Just want to throw that out there. But like that's actually a great point. Your price point may vary depending on the city and state that you are looking. 450 out in the Charles County area looks way different.
Sure does.
it looks way different than it does in PG County or DC, for
Mm-hmm.
example. So, even though you're pre-approved, you definitely get a chance to see where your money actually takes you.
It does.
And it's, and I don't, I never wanted to discourage, anybody, because what's for you is for you, and you will find exactly what you're looking for eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And sometimes it goes in reverse, because when you think that all you can afford is something, and then your realtor goes, well, wait a minute, I found a little something.
Let me tell you.
Over here. And, that kind of happened with us. It was
Absolutely.
like we went, 15 minutes down the street?
Literally.
So about that story, we went to go look at one place, and it was kind of at the top of our budget, and it was a new build, and the builder said, well, we have another community 15 minutes down the street. And that same house, y'all, was literally $20,000 cheaper. The same house.
Yeah, and that actually happens a lot, especially with new construction builders. It's community to community, neighborhood to neighborhood, and actually that was actually a great point, because we started off in the other community, and then we went over to we're not going to name the builder, but we went over to the townhouse community. Remember, it was like, all right, this might be. It was like, well, let's go down the street a little bit, and see what that single family talking about.
Yeah, and
guess what?
Yeah, we figured out how to make our dollar stretch a little bit more. Sometimes you got to get creative.
Got to be creative.
But you got to be creative. But I will say, to your point though, your realtor should help you do that, because we didn't know. We was just we just trying to buy. We didn't know anything.
Absolutely, and that's actually that's our job. That's our job, to do our due diligence, to make sure that we are making sure that our clients are well taken care of. That's the whole point. And our job sometimes is to literally find that diamond in the rough, because your house is out there. It's for you. What is for you is for you. And like I said, it's when it's for you, it will happen. Like I said, it may not be smooth. But it's definitely for you. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this question. When the client is also looking for houses online or riding around or whatever, does that get on y'all's nerves? You can be honest. Nobody listening. It's just me and you. Does it get on my nerves? No. Right? Because I understand human nature, right? But the thing about it is, I'm open to it. Let me tell you, I'm open to, because sometimes you actually are helping me out, to be quite honest. What I don't necessarily care for is like, especially on the selling side, Redfin said my house is, or Zillow said my house is worth. Zillow ain't it. That's not it. So those are the times I kind of get like, Okay. Let me do my job. Let me do my research, because Zillow, that Zestimate that they talk about, that's gonna set you up every time. Wow.
Every time. No, but it doesn't. But to answer your question, no, it doesn't necessarily bother me. Because it kind of helps me if at least you're giving me more insight about what you like. So if you send me about 3 or 4 listings from Zillow or whatever the case is, at least I can research it and look at it myself. I'm like, okay, so this is actually what she's kind of looking for. Great. That way I can tailor my search to fit your search. So yeah, I don't necessarily mind. I don't mind that.
Okay.
The only thing I mind is them estimates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. The whole process it's a very daunting process.
It is.
For people that don't know, and it almost got overwhelming.
I can see that.
And I know just from being on this side, not really knowing how far your dollar can go.
Right.
And I remember you remember that very first townhouse we went to go look at?
The first one over in Marlton, right?
Oh my gosh.
In the nighttime. Yeah, I remember.
That house was like 200 square feet. No, it wasn't that small, but
it wasn't that small, but
it wasn't that big either.
It wasn't that big either. It wasn't that big. And it kind of threw you off a little bit.
It did, but I think we were so focused on, I guess,
you had a preconceived notion
of what we could not afford.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I think that, when Ayan and I were talking last week, and this is the Melanin 360 podcast, so we're always talking about how people of color fit into this process. I think a lot of times we get small-minded when it comes to this stuff, right?
It's crazy, though.
And, we're like, well, I can only afford this, and I can only do this.
Says who?
Exactly. Says who? But says us.
Who?
We do it to ourselves.
I know. And that's. I mean, unfortunately, you are absolutely right. We don't always see the value in ourselves, and that's just the mindset shift that we have to do, right? Yeah, because we just as good as the next. We can afford, we out here making money.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We doing big things. So why can't we have the best?
And we had initially kind of tricked ourselves into believing that we could just afford this small little thing. Would it have worked? I mean,
that wouldn't have been your forever home though.
Yeah, no, we'd have been looking to move inside of 36 months.
And that's
for
the
real.
whole point. See, 36, that's crazy.
That's nothing.
That's not, because you know what? Them 36 months going to go like that.
Yep. And Tyrone was like, no, we gonna look for something else. We got you.
Yeah, listen, I just want to, saying, because that first meeting, it was more or less we were getting our feet wet, and it's okay, because we were trying to figure out where our money was going to take us, and I was like, okay, well, here's the thing, I am never one to say you like that,
right?
Because you just never know. You never know people's budgets. You never know, even though they got pre-approved for a certain
their
amount,
goals. They may have different aspirations,
absolutely,
whatever.
Absolutely. So it's definitely never a situation where I'm like, nah, that's all you like, nah, because you never know people's bigger picture, like you said. But once we had that conversation, after that meeting, I said, okay, so they're looking for something a little bigger, a little better, because they're looking for their forever house. And okay, so now it's time to find that forever house. Whether it was a townhouse, single family,
right?
We had some work to do, and that was cool. And that was totally okay, because I knew I was going to find you guys your forever home. And look where we are.
Them pictures be lying online.
Well, you already know them pictures be lying.
Them pictures online, y'all.
Yeah,
go look at it. Don't fall in love till you look at it.
Don't go, because them wide angle lenses are serious. You get up in that thing, you're like, hey, whatever.
Literally, I walked in and I had to go outside to change my mind. I was like, oh, okay.
Like, this is what we're doing? All right.
So at this point, we've gotten the pre-approval.
Yep.
We've gone out, looked at a couple places, and the person finds one that they really like.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
Now, 2-part question.
All right.
Where do we go from here?
Okay.
And is there a difference between buying new construction and a pre-existing home as far as the process? Because I only know about buying new construction. Okay. Is there a difference between the two?
The buying process is generally, of course, new construction is a little bit more, it's a little easier in essence, because you already know what you want. Like you pretty much going in, you're going to pick it. If you're going new construction from the very, very beginning, you're going in, you're either going to be pre-approved with your own lender walking in, or you're going to try to get pre-approved with the builder's lender. And one of the advantages of getting pre-approved with the builder's lender is it allows you the opportunity to get builder sellers, like the credits.
Yes.
So like closing cost assistance, free morning rooms,
and upgrades and all that stuff.
Stuff. So that's one of the advantages of getting pre-approved through the lender, through the builder. But you can definitely negotiate, and that's when your realtor, if they're good at what they do, can also help negotiate that, even if you are pre-approved with, come in with your own pre-approval letter. The process of purchasing a home that is pre-existing is a little different because you may have a little bit you have competition. You have competition, and there can be the problem. Right now, as we currently stand right now, we're in what we are calling a seller's market.
We talked about the differences last week.
Yes. Okay. See, I already know Yana on top of it. Shout out Yana Roberts. So we're actually in the seller's market right now. So your competition is a little bit heavier. Your negotiation skills are a little bit different than they were if there was a buyer's market, or kind of even on both sides. But the process is pretty much still the same. We will, once you find that house that you absolutely love, you say, hey Ty, or whomever your realtor is, this is the one. I want to put a contract down. Right. So from that process, your realtor will then say, all right, cool. They will pull the documents and all that stuff to prepare your contract. So that's actually a great question. So one thing that you do, I want to tell your listeners out here that when you're writing a contract, generally it's customary to present, I'm not sure if she mentioned this, what is called an earnest money deposit.
No, we didn't get that far. We saved all that for you,
You saved
sir.
all this for me.
Yes,
all
we
right,
did.
Cool. So
yes, we did.
So we're here. Okay, cool. So generally what we do is when we're submitting a contract, we present with the contract something that's called an earnest money deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the earnest money deposit is typically 1% of the purchase price.
Okay.
Okay. So if it's $300,000, for example, it's a $3,000 personal check, cashier check, or, you know what I'm saying, that we are submitting with the offer. And that basically shows the seller that, hey, we are serious buyers. We are ready to go. And as, you know, customary, we're presenting to you this earnest money deposit as a literal deposit going towards the closure of your house.
Okay.
So with an earnest money deposit, once we get all the way down through the process, that money is held in a non-interest bearing account, and it is deducted from your overall the bottom line when you're ready to go to closing.
Okay.
So with that, like I said, you're writing a contract, and when we're writing a contract on a house, it of course can either be, this is what pre-existing, it can either be accepted, rejected, or have a counteroffer.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty self-explanatory. But to keep us in the game, you know what I'm saying, counter proposal keep us in the game because ultimately we want to have our contract accepted.
Mm-hmm.
But our goal is to get the house that you want.
Yes.
So we're looking for, hey, you're accepted, let's move forward. That's what we're trying to do.
And so this is where you come in on a pre-existing home, like the market value and stuff like that, making sure that we're not overpaying.
You got it.
For the house,
You got it.
stuff like that.
You got it.
Now, when you buy a new construction, that part doesn't really happen too much, right?
No, because when you go into a new construction house, you're starting from the base price.
And then you go up from there depending on what you add or whatever. Got it.
However you customize a house is however much you put into it. Your base price is your base house, which is generally, and I want to also tell your listeners out here that having a base model house doesn't mean anything negative. Mm-hmm. You're just starting from the basics, and even the basics are still nice. You know, saying it's just you have carpet and you have specific
counters or whatever, right?
Yeah, stuff like that. It's just when you start getting fancy,
corner lots and all that other yeah.
And you know what I'm saying, you want acreages and you want quartz instead of the granite, and you want the all white kitchen and hardwood floors throughout. That's when things start to go up a little bit.
Okay, and so because this is a seller's market now, this is where you hear about people going in at full asking price or even sometimes more, as long as it's not overpriced, I guess, right?
Yeah. So basically, it's my job to verify and do my due diligence to find out how the comps, and what we're doing is we're comparing the home that we're putting down a contract on to houses that have sold within generally a half-a-mile radius from their house within the last 6 months.
Okay.
So it is my job to find out, say, hey, okay, this is a fair asking price, and this is how much, it's my job to at least advise you on how you should maybe write your contract. But ultimately, it's up to you. I mean, it's totally up to you. My thing is I have your best interest at heart, so I hope that you at least kind of listen to, what I'm saying. But ultimately, it's your decision. You have to write. You definitely have to write. But to answer your question, this is definitely a seller's market. So houses are absolutely going full asking price, if not more, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over asking price.
To compete.
Yeah, which is the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing. But, ultimately, your realtor has to do his job to secure that house for you.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so this is the part, from a non-realtor standpoint, that I tell people this is the part that can be not fun.
Yeah.
As a buyer, because you find a house, you fall in love with the house, right? And when I say you fall in love, you go to sleep with it in your brain. You have your Amazon wish list with stuff on it
already.
I might be talking about myself.
I say Amazon. You say wish list. Wait, what are you talking about?
You have already figured out where you want stuff to go, and then you get outbidded for the house.
That happens.
Or your offer gets rejected.
It does.
or something weird happens with your financing.
I can't disagree with you here.
And then it's like, okay, what do we do now?
Then we keep hitting the ground. We keep going. We push the pavement because, like I said earlier, I also like to tell my clients, try not to fall in love with the house. It's okay, fall in love with the house once our contract gets accepted.
It's so hard to do.
It is hard to do. It is, because it's human nature. Like, oh my God, this is it. Mm-hmm. And from a realtor's aspect, it does bother me when we aren't able to get the house that they absolutely love. But it happens. It does happen. Mm-hmm. So, I just try to caution my buyers and falling in love before we actually get accepted, because life gets in the way sometimes, and things do happen when we're trying to write for contracts, especially now. Like, now it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And we could, and it's not even necessarily any fault of the realtor. I mean, I'm seeing houses that have 10 contracts, 15 contracts, 20 contracts on one house.
And so, would you advise your client against putting a contract on a house like that?
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Even if there was like 15 other? Okay.
Because you never know. Because you just never know.
So I guess you don't lose anything.
Because you're not losing. And what if that one house, she's like, you know what? I got 15. I don't need to be 16. And you were the one that was actually going to get it. How would you ever know?
That's true.
How would you ever know? How would you ever know?
See, there I go talking myself and see.
Listen, I'm big on mindset. I'm big on I'm big on speaking things into existence and stuff like that. Because, and it's not just for real estate. You kind of have to beware of the energy that you put out there. Beware if you speak with the items and the things that you speak with your tongue, because you don't want to wish those type of things on yourself. You don't want to put that type of energy out there. And seriously, what's for you? And I keep saying it. What is for you is for you. Mm-hmm. So if this house doesn't work out in your favor, it just wasn't your time. And that's okay. You have to be okay with it. Mm-hmm. You have to be okay with that, because when it is your time, listen, I don't want to get, religion and all that stuff, but, sometimes, what I'm saying, the things that are blocked for you are blocked for a reason.
That's true. And then sometimes, like us, that house, those two houses led us to our house.
Isn't that something?
That didn't work out, led us there. Mm-hmm. So, it just
never know.
It just really depends.
It does.
So I've put the contract on the house.
And it's ours.
And it's been accepted.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. Now what happens?
So the way that I write my contracts, I put contingency periods. And I write for, our first contingency would be for our inspections. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I never want to put I never put my clients in a position where they're going to lose any money. Mm-hmm. So to kind of piggyback off of what we talked about earlier with the earnest money deposit, once you get past a certain period of, like I said, the contingency periods, and further down the line within the process of purchasing a house, if the buyer, which is us, our side, defaults at any point, on this contract, we would be in a position where we could lose our earnest money deposit. And the last thing I want to tell my client is like, oh, yeah, we did something wrong. And your $3,000 that you put down for that deposit, yeah, you ain't got it no more.
Okay.
That does not feel good. And I can imagine that wouldn't feel good to the buyer.
Nope. Because nobody has coins to waste like that.
Because we work hard for our money,
yes,
right?
Yes, we do.
Exactly.
Cream.
So money, exactly. So what I do with the way I write my contracts is I put the first contingency period is the inspections, and we have all of our inspections done within the first 5 to 10 days. We have there are multiple inspections we can possibly do on a home, depending on the age of the house. But we definitely can get a home inspection, a lead-based paint inspection if the house was built before 1978, termite, radon, mold. I mean, there are a lot of inspections that we could do. And one thing I will say about the inspections, these inspections are definitely not mandatory. Mm-hmm. They're optional inspections, but they are at a cost to you. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you can
but you should be doing them, right?
So here's the thing. I always advise my clients to, if you don't get any inspection at all, get a home inspection.
Because we even got one for a new build, and a few people were like, "Why did you pay for that? You got a new build." And I was like, no, still doing it, because you just never know.
Still do it because
we found a couple things in a new build, never been lived in before.
And guess what? They had to take care of it and fix it, right?
They sure did.
Because even new build construction, even though it's a brand new house, can come with a few things that small tweaks, little small things.
They're built by humans.
Absolutely,
stuff happens,
and stuff does happen, even with new build constructions. But with pre-existing, it is very advantageous to get a home inspection more than anything else. I mean, if you got small children, your house was built before like 1978, definitely maybe you should get a lead-based paint or a radon inspection, which is like an odorless gas that comes up from the ground.
I just learned about radon. A girlfriend of mine bought a house same time we did,
which is heavy,
and that was huge for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And imagine if they didn't get that test done, right? And they were living in a house and had all that radon emitting from the floor of their house, and they have children or anybody else. Like it's like carbon dioxide. Like it could take you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very important. Definitely important to get these type of tests. But like I said, if you don't listen to me to get any of these other tests that I may suggest to you, I would also always say get a home inspection.
Okay.
Because with a home inspection, it gives you all of the things that are wrong or maybe not wrong with the house. Because the inspector is definitely going to inspect everything from the inside out, roof to the basement. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to come up with a report that's going to let you know everything that is possibly wrong with the house. And that way, once we get the inspection report back while we're within the contingency period, you may find out that everything that glitters ain't gold, and man, this house looks great, but it has so many problems with it, and I don't feel comfortable moving forward. But see, now here's the period where we can make our educated, decision to say, hey, okay, these few things I can kind of live with. These few things I'm not so cool with. Let's negotiate, saying repairs, or this house is too much. I'm going to walk away from it.
Okay.
Because if you walk away from it during our contingency period, then I'll be able to get your earnest money deposit back. No harm, no foul. And we just move on to the next house.
And so with negotiations, let me make sure I get this straight. You can either negotiate the total price of the house, or you can negotiate that the seller repairs those things. Am I getting that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So your first part of negotiation is just negotiating a sales price. It's coming to, like I said, the house may have been listed for, let's say if it's a buyer's market. Let's just go back. Let's say if it's a buyer's market. The house is on the market for $300. And then the buyer says, hey, you know what? Let's go a little bit lower than that. I'm gonna say $280. And then the buyer, the seller gives you a counter proposal, and then you guys negotiate and meet in the middle at $290. That's just part of the negotiation.
Right.
Yeah.
But for example, let's say the home inspection came back.
Okay.
And I don't know, there was something, the roof, right? Not real bad, but something that needed to be done. And it was going to cost, maybe $7,000 to fix whatever on the roof. At that point, if I'm the buyer, I can go back to the seller and say, so we negotiated $290. The roof is going to cost $7,000. Can we negotiate the price down from there, or can I ask the seller to pay for it, or how does that work?
So great question. So basically, the price at that point we've already negotiated the price. So we're already negotiated that part. So the next part of the negotiation is to negotiate the repairs. So from your example, the home inspector did the inspection. The roof is in decent shape, but in certain places on the roof, there is missing some shingles, which in turn cause a couple leaks on the roof and all of that stuff. We're in negotiation. Hey, I want to move forward with the sale of this house. With the purchase of this house, but I need you to fix the shingles because it's causing a leak. And your realtor writes that up in a inspection report. He sends it off to the listing agent. The listing agent and the client reviews it, and they either can say, yes, we'll make the repairs, or we'll make some of the repairs, or no, we're not making anything, which will then give us another opportunity to either move forward with the transaction of purchasing a home, or like, got it.
Okay. Okay.
So there's different moments within the transaction where we're negotiating. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so at that point, we have done the inspection, and hypothetically, everything is awesome,
Everything's awesome.
right? Or if it wasn't awesome, we have worked out,
We worked it out.
right? What happens
What's happening now?
at this point?
So while we're during the inspection period of the house, right? We're going to our lender. Okay, we're going back to the lender and say, hey, lender, I know you pre-approved me for a certain amount, but we just found a house. This is the address. We're ready to move forward. So from the pre-approval that your lender just gave you, now we're actually running some real numbers where we're going to re-verify your assets, re-verify your employment, and make sure that when the information that we pre-approve you for is still the same. Nothing's changed. And now we're doing a real deal approval process to make sure that we can get approved for the loans. But
this is also where it can get tricky.
This is where it always get tricky.
Because if you got pre-approved 90 days ago, right, and it took you 3 months to find a house or whatever, and in that 90-day time frame, something changed,
we was on the same,
something popped up on your credit, you had a job change, whatever. And
I'm glad that you brought
you
that
can get
up.
your feelings hurt.
You can get your feelings hurt.
You can.
And the last thing that you want to do is be in the fault on your end, from that point. You know what I'm saying? So because it will be an opportunity where you could possibly lose your earnest money deposit. We're not about losing that money. And that's also something that your realtor needs to be on top of. Just to make sure that, hey, everything is squared away. Hey, it's been about 90 days. You sure? Let's go back and get another pre-qualification letter. Let's make sure that we're still on point because 1, you don't want to lose a house. 2, you don't want to lose any money. And 3, you just want to make sure that you are on target to be able to move forward to get to your closing. But what I will say is, once you get pre-approved for a house and we are under contract, please don't do nothing crazy with your credit.
Don't buy
that furniture. Don't buy the furniture. Don't buy any cars.
Don't change your job.
Don't do anything crazy that's going to bring any negative impacts on your credit or your pre-approval.
Pay everything on time or early.
No late payments, anything. The smallest things could really cause a big hiccup in your process. And the last thing that you want to do is feel bad because, you done did something silly. So please, guys, don't do anything. Okay, I gotta look in the camera. Don't do anything with your credit while you are under contract.
And that's real.
All those things can wait until after you close. You can do whatever you want to do.
The minute you sign them papers.
You sign them keys, you get then you go out and you go get all that furniture you were talking about. Then you go ahead and cash out on that Amazon wish list that you were just talking about.
But you won't because you're going to be broke. So you won't.
Then you're going to be broke. Then you're going to be broke. Then you need the Amazon gift card to help with your Amazon wish list.
Exactly. But yeah, no, that's very true. And I wanted to talk about that.
Great.
When we talked about the pitfalls and the peaks and valleys,
man.
Those are some of the things that people run into during this process. And it feels like a long time, So like the process from finding the house you want to going back for like your final pre-approval type thing. That can be quick or it can be a little bit longer, right?
You got it. Yeah. So it can be. Like I said, we can find a house during the first house that we see. We might be looking about 10, 20, 30 houses. And that's not fun.
I've seen people like that because most of the time you're looking on weekends, so it ain't like you're going out every day.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And it can get a little daunting and a little bit of, it can get a little tiresome sometimes, but like
they all start to look the same after a while.
They all start to look the same because they do start to look the same after a while. But once you find it, you find it. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, once you get under contract, just don't do anything crazy. Just don't make any moves. Don't do anything because I'm telling you, be forthcoming with your realtor, be forthcoming with your lender. It helps. We're a big team at this point.
Yes, because your lender and your realtor, Tyrone, will call you and be like, bruh,
hey,
what is you doing?
Hey.
Not what is you doing? What is you doing?
Yo, owe. I'm like, I know they owe. Kenny, yo, brother,
What happened?
Oh man.
Ooh, yes.
But you know what, and it's totally okay because it comes along with the territory, but and it happens. And also just kind of also give you one little bit of insight with the process, because we were talking about time frames and stuff like that. Generally, once you're under contract, the process to close generally takes about anywhere between 30 to 60 days or 30 to 45 days to close. So just to kind of give you a time frame, especially for those who are in apartments, don't give you a 30-day notice until we are a little bit further down the line, at least after the inspection period. Because my thing is, I don't know about you, I don't have too much spare bedrooms in my house. Hey, I love you, but you can't live with me.
Yeah, I mean, that's
happens.
important.
That does
that's
happen.
important.
That does happen. So, you kind of want to be, aware of the timelines and where you are in the process, especially if you're living in apartments, because you do have to give like 30-day notices, 60-day notices. So everything kind of works together. So, but I did just want to mention that it's about it's anywhere between 30 and 60 days, 30 to 45 days to close. From, hey, we're accepted, to, hey, now I got my keys, time to move.
Okay. So lastly, explain closing. Like, people talk about closing costs and I'm going to closing or whatever. What does that actually mean? Because it's a very small word that's loaded with a lot of things.
Oh, it's loaded with a whole lot of things. So you have the title fee. Closing is okay. So closing pretty much is the you're going to go to the title company who is going So basically, if you're working with a title company, they will you will go to the title company's office, or if it's remote, whatever the case is, and they're going to provide you with a stack of documents.
Big old stack.
It's a big old stack. And you're literally going to go through all of the terms of purchasing a house, which is a lot. It's definitely a lot. This is a legal document, so it's best to at least kind of go over it as much as possible. Of course, you may not necessarily sit there and read all of the documents, but you do want to be informed of what you're actually signing. Your first signature is going to look totally different from your last signature. The last signature, you're like, let me just
chicken scratch.
Just put X. Man, I'm over it. There are some closing costs that are associated with it. The closing costs from the title company, the closing costs that we have to put down for the house. It may be 5% of the house. It may be 20% of the house, but there are definitely closing costs that are associated with it. And your lender will be able to provide you with those numbers to go to closing, because we have to wire the funds before we go to closing.
Right.
There's something called a closing disclosure, and it gives you all of the information and monies that you would need to close on a property. So the day that you go to closing, you're just signing all the paperwork.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then after you sign all of that, that is when you get the keys.
So what you do is you're literally going to sign your life away. I mean, you just not your life personally, but you're going to sign and sign and sign and sign. But ultimately, when you finish, there is an exchange from the seller to the buyer, and now you are officially the homeowner. You are presented with the keys along with a clear title, meaning that the title is free from any liens or anything that will be associated from the old owner of the house.
But now liens, isn't that something that can also come up during the during the home buying process? If you're buying a pre-existing home, that's like a title search and all that other stuff. There you
go. So the title company,
I know a little something, a little
bit. And that's what the title company is for. They're going to do a title search to perform a search of the title to make sure that they are free from any I can't say the dang word, liens, and to make sure that you are getting a home that is free from any debt. Nothing is transferred from the seller to you as the buyer. Okay. And you are getting a free and clear title.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good job.
Okay.
Look at you.
Thank you.
A little bit.
And so then after you sign all that stuff, you get your keys.
So you get your keys. Yeah, you get your keys.
Get your picture.
You I'm about to say, now you know you didn't buy a house until you take that picture and post it on the gram.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not real. It doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you take your keys. You officially sign. It's big congratulations. You get your keys. You are officially a homeowner. You do take a picture because you want to memorialize that, hey, I went through this process.
Mm-hmm.
I went through this process with you.
Mm-hmm.
And because of you, I'm officially a homeowner. And that's just a great feeling. It's a great feeling on both sides.
Absolutely.
Because, you have finally got the keys to your home. You are now a new homeowner. And as a realtor, it just makes your heart smile when you're able to finally, especially have any pitfalls and any hard times with your transaction, to finally get to that closing table and officially get those keys. Oh man,
yeah,
it feels great that you actually did your job and you did it well.
Like, you better be friends with your realtor by the time this is done.
Listen,
like, I mean, it really
gosh.
is. I mean, we were already
we were
friends,
we was already
the level.
Good, yeah. But we on a new.
It's a whole.
We were friends, but now we are family.
Yes.
That's just the thing, because you create those relationships with your clients.
You
should.
You really do. And your realtor is not only your realtor. They are your counselor. They are your prayer partner.
Absolutely.
They are
oh my God.
Your therapist.
Yeah, we are your trusted advisor. And that's a real thing. We and sometimes, like you said, counselor, listen, I done had to, and I'm gonna tell you, I know I had to literally be a power of attorney for one of my clients as they were getting married. I had to sign a power of attorney for them. I had to be a witness at their courthouse wedding.
Wow.
Yeah. It's serious.
It's deep.
It's deep. Yeah, the levels that you do and you go through with your clients. And now and I have a friend for life with that one. So that's just how it is. It comes along with the territory.
And
Absolutely.
Ayana was saying last week that even after you sell the house, it shouldn't stop. Like a good realtor, it shouldn't stop.
No, because it's all about building relationships. It's all about building relationships. It's not just about, hey, I sold you the house, now good, I got paid,
peace.
and I'm out. It's not even about that, because the thing about a good realtor is you build relationships, and those relationships will take you way farther than any one transaction that you just turn your back on when you're done.
Absolutely.
We are in a business of building relationships and just being friendly and just being transparent and just cool. Like, what's wrong with me checking up on you and say, hey, Dre, what's going on? How you like the house? Like, I just came up here today. I was like, man, look at all this stuff, man. Look how I lived in this show, man. I remember we was bare.
and I'm constantly telling people about you.
And I appreciate
constantly,
that.
Because when people see that you bought a house, the first thing they ask you is, who's your realtor? I can't tell. If I had $5 every time somebody said, who's your realtor?
I love it. I appreciate it.
And I always tell them, who did it. And they like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
So, definitely word of mouth. But y'all pick a good realtor.
You do.
For real.
It matters. The last thing you want is to go through a crappy transaction with a crappy realtor. And you can get to the table, but it's not fun. It's not fun.
And you want somebody that's going to go to work for you. Somebody that's going to fight for you.
Absolutely.
So
sometimes you fight. Let me tell you. Sometimes you fighting. As a realtor, sometimes you don't know. You guys don't always see some of the conversations and emails and stuff goes back and forth that you guys aren't privy to. Like, relatives like, oh, you just showing houses now, bro. We do more than showing houses and collecting checks. Trust me, we working. Like,
so let me ask you this one question. So I know around here, I see a lot of couples that look like me and my partner, young couples and stuff like that. And it brings me joy to see that. Are you seeing an uptick in young Black singles or young Black couples buying, and where they're buying, and the types of properties that they're buying? You are?
Yeah, definitely. When I'm seeing people, buying in well-established neighborhoods or neighborhoods like that, like you guys, like, I'm so proud of y'all. Let me tell y'all bought in this neighborhood at the right time, and it's just been the perfect property for you guys, and I'm just so happy because you guys didn't settle. And like I said, it's just good to see people like you who are going to be in this community, raising families and just doing. It's just good. It's just good to see us doing well, because I expect that. I expect to see us doing well. I expect to see us in $500,000 houses, $1 million. Why, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? But because we are great people, and we deserve it. We deserve the great things in life. So yeah, it does bring me joy to see young black couples or single moms who are trying to, show their kids the example of, hey, mom is working hard, to get us here. Like that's just a great feeling. Especially, and I'm a little soft with the moms, single moms, because I love helping, first time buyers and single moms, because it's the joy on their faces. It's just immeasurable. It's just like, it's a feeling of accomplishment for them, and it's a feeling of accomplishment for me as well.
One of the reasons why I wanted to do this series on this show specifically was because I know that they market to our community differently.
They do.
So I remember years ago with the adjustable rate mortgages and the predatory lending, they marketed specifically to our community.
They still do.
And we saw that as a leg up that we didn't have. And so, I'm not a realtor, but I wanted to do my part so that people that look like me know the real deal.
Oh, yeah.
And not wanting to take the shortcuts or doing things under the table or what have you, so that they could hear from not only somebody that looks like me, but for realtors that look like you all.
Absolutely.
To show them the way to go and what they should be doing and the correct way to do it.
And I'm actually really glad that you did this podcast, because this is a good thing. It was actually very, it was a positive thing for us, and it allows you've given us a platform to share that experience with us brown and us folk, because we can definitely do it. We can definitely achieve exactly what we set our mind to. And home ownership is definitely one of them. We on top of it. And I love that.
I have to bring y'all back so we can talk about investment properties at some point.
Oh man,
we gotta have that conversation.
That's
I really want to have that.
Let me tell you something about that, and building generational wealth, and creating incomes and creating streams that will work for us in our sleep.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
that's something I definitely want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up.
Oh, is that time?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
If you could say 3 things to somebody who just got that pre-approval letter and they're looking for a realtor, or they just signed on with a realtor and they're getting ready to go through the process, if you could tell them 3 things, what would it be?
Do your homework on all levels. Do your homework on your realtor. Do your homework on the area that you're trying to move to. Do your homework in property taxes, because that's an important thing. Like, people just buy houses and don't know that them taxes,
eat you alive.
Do your homework. 2, find a realtor that will work just as hard for you that they will for your mom. You know what I mean? Because it matters. And 3, just be patient. Build relationships and be patient, because patience is actually virtue, especially in this process. We can strike gold immediately, but sometimes that's not always the case. So you just have to have patience. Is absolutely virtue. Just be a little patient, because like I said, I'm going to end it out. What is for you is for you, but it's going to come around when it's supposed to, in due time.
Absolutely. So, Tyrone Toney.
Tyrone Toney.
Where can we find you on social media?
On social media? Okay, so you can find me at Tyrone Toney, the realtor, on Facebook. Tyrone Toney is my personal page, Toney. I am on Instagram at Toney, the realtor. And my email address is Tyrone Toney, the realtor, @gmail.com.
And once again, Tyrone Toney with Keller Williams Preferred Properties. Y'all hit him up. He knows his stuff.
Absolutely.
If he can help me, he can help anybody.
Y'all wasn't even that hard. You wasn't that bad. It was good. It was actually good.
Well, we appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. This
very,
was
very
dope.
much.
And it's over?
And yeah, but we are going to have you back.
I appreciate it.
Will you come back?
You ain't got to ask. Just tell me when. You know I'll be here. Anything for y'all. You already know.
So listen, we hope you all enjoyed this episode, part 2 of Bye Bye Baby on the Melanin 360 podcast. As you know, you can follow us on Instagram at _ Melanin 360. And you can follow me on Instagram as well at I am Jore. That's IAMJORAE. See y'all next week. Peace.
Paving this shit crank.